Okay, guys, tonight this is the last race. This is Irene, and we have still cast with us Tom. Ciao, Tom. How are you doing?
Hi, ciao. How are you, Irene?
I'm
Glad to be
fine,
here.
thanks. Okay, let me check if everything is okay. Let me check if we start anything. Just a second. Okay, here we are. Let me check if everything is okay. If everything is okay. So, can you see everything?
Yeah, I'm in the interface now. I can switch the drivers.
Okay. Okay, I can hear you properly, and I think that from the chat will be hearing, they can hear you. I'm sure about that.
Great.
Chris, say hello. Ciao,
Hello,
Chris.
chat.
And as I told you, Chris is so happy that you are here tonight with us.
Well,
Um,
I'm certainly glad to be here. It's a little bit unfamiliar to me coming from this. I'm used to just, posting comments on the side. I've never done the live commentary thing, so I hope that everyone has some patience with me and can bear with me.
Come on, don't see so humble because you are such a great YouTuber. I mean, you have such a amazing YouTube
So
channel, Stillcast27. Don't be so shy.
it's all magic, smoke and mirrors. It's just David Copperfield stuff.
Okay, so I just want to tell you that now this is the qualifying time, giusto? Okay, so this is the qualifying time, as you can see, and I will be glad to follow your advice if you want to, because actually I choose what to see and what the people can see from the Twitch channel. So if you tell me, please Irene, go on Craig Lax, or just look at the battle between Chris Collison and Dan Lewis, then I will go and I will look for them in
Okay.
during the race and do whatever you want. It is your time.
All right.
It is. I mean, it's gonna be fun. I'm happy. Tonight we have how many people? You are at the pit now. Still reserve. You are at the pit. Now
And I'm not leaving the pit either.
no. No. So we have 10 drivers tonight. And this is the last race for um, this European Championship. We have seen lots of amazing drivers. Among all, I would just remember Craig Lax, Rocco Tamanoidis, Dan Lewis, Chris Collison, Michele Busatta, and all of them. Also, Daniele Belladonna. I mean, they did a good job, a great job, and actually they've become almost. I mean, they have become friends. Although they are, I mean, from all over the world. And I'm so happy for this adventure, kind of like an adventure.
It certainly has been an outstanding season. I would consider it to be particularly brutal on the drivers, hopefully entertaining for the rest of us. But yeah, they've had some really tough car and track combinations. If you look back, they had Monaco in heavy rain.
And tonight,
In the,
it's gonna rain again.
and tonight we have more rain in a car that I can imagine probably doesn't handle rain quite well. But fortunately for everyone here, this is a relatively medium to high speed track. So hopefully the downforce can do some work for them here. The Lotus 79 is an interesting car, and I think if anyone who's put their hands on it should know it's a handful. So tip of the hat to all of the drivers here for just taking up this challenge.
I'm so excited tonight. So happy. I don't know. I don't want to say anything before we start. No, I won't say anything for all the race. Um, Actually, I'm glad that these guys are racing this championship, and good luck to anybody. Really, um, I mean, I support Simone Buttafuoco will be the last probably one.
Does he have a purple car today? Is the question.
No, let me
Does not
check.
appear so.
No, a blue one with our sponsors. Some of our sponsors. Probably you don't see it because you see number 55, but you don't see his car now.
I can
Uh,
definitely see your broadcast as well as have my own view. So, whoa, that was interesting. Someone just had an off there, but yeah, this track is going to be a challenge because all of the drivers, I assume, don't have very much, if any, experience driving this car in the wet. So right now they're spending all of their time just becoming familiar with how the Lotus 79 handles wet racing conditions, gaining trust in the car where they can, trying to find their braking zones where they can feel like the car can hold, and maybe hopefully making some setup adjustments when they hit the garage that hopefully sort some problems they might foresee or can tell while they're on track. But this is going to be difficult for them when they're racing closely. If I was a betting man, I would bet on some early action until things sort of sort themselves out here. But yeah, it appears that Craig Lax is at the top of the leaderboard.
yeah, in fact, I was saying, can you see the timings on the?
Yeah.
And Craig Lax is on the top right now, and Daniele Belladonna, not bad, but yes, do something more.
Yeah, Daniela Belladonna has had an ups and down championship. He came on really strong. I remember earlier on with the Ginetta G55, and in the GT1s, he had a really great battle with Craig Lax in the nighttime at Cascais. Some really good shining moments for Daniela there. But right now, the conversation I think everybody should be having is Rocco going to pull one of his little magic maneuvers and survive and come out on top, because we have a race here that has championship implications. Rocco and Craig Lax are so close in the standings that the outcome of this race is going to determine who takes the number one position for the championship.
Yes, absolutely. That's why I'm so excited. I wouldn't imagine that I could be so happy. I mean, really, I can't wait for this race. Oh man, Dan Lewis, 2.34. Not bad, Dan Lewis.
Yeah, I think we should be obviously the qualifying times matter here to see who gets to start in front, because the farther back you start, the more in trouble you could get. If someone makes a mistake, it could impact your race. If you start in front, there's a higher chance that you can survive the opening laps. Obviously, turn one is always a factor when the race starts, but after that initial phase, it's going to be a struggle for these guys. It's going to be a matter of focus, whether or not they can keep the car on track consistently. Mistakes are going to happen. Cars are going to go off the tarmac and into the grass. It's going to be a struggle, and that's going to dictate what happens here. Hopefully, nobody has any computer issues or crashes or crashes to desktop or disconnections, and we get a full race from these guys.
I hope so too. Also because yesterday we had too many problems with different drivers. I don't want to see again what happened to yesterday night. Well, by the way, all these guys, all these drivers that we have been having and joining the European Championship. First of all, they have been really very fair during the game. So since the very beginning, so I want to thank them for their fair play. And second, yes, there have been some bad disconnections from the server. Yes, it happened, but not so many. So that's why I'm crossing my fingers, and I hope that everything will be fine for anybody and anybody. I hope that they will finish the race perfectly without the problems. I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah, of
just
course. We want them to be on the track when things
Yes.
happen, not have any technical issues. It appears now, though, based on the timetables, that the dynamics of the track are changing. It appears that it may be drying up a little bit. Live Track 3.0, which is a feature of AMS2, features this in the game. The track is a dynamic thing that the drivers have to take into consideration. What we'll see is faster lap times, though. So I would imagine it's going to be a race to see who can get the last time in, and string it all together within, when there's 3, 2, 1 minute to go left in the session.
Yes, actually, I was watching the timings, and right now we have Dan Lewis in the first position with 2.34, followed by Daniele Belladonna 2.36 and Tamanoidis 2.37, and Craig Lax on the fourth position 2.37. No, 2.38.
Looks like Busata just took it away from Dan Lewis. It's a nice lap by Busata at this stage.
Ah, sì? Busatta? Oh, Busatta! Michele! What happened tonight to Michele? Michele, not bad, Michele, eh? Good job. I didn't see it. Okay. Michele can surprise us. Okay, I understand that. Well, we will see if it will rain or if it will stop raining. We will see. What's also, it is important for the track and for the tires, of course. I don't know. There is written EV cloud, so it rained before. It was raining before. There are some puddles on the track, but
there's going to be some lingering puddles and some wet spots on the track. That's another dynamic of Live Track 3.0. So there's going to be, I believe the weather forecast is similar to the qualifying session. We're going to get a rainy opener, and then it's going to slowly dry out over the course of the race. It's going to be another strategic or tactical decision that these guys have to make is, if they start on the wets, when are they going to come in for a pit stop, during the course of the race?
By the way, Simone is saying to me that the track is getting drier and drier. So probably, if it stays like this, if it doesn't, I mean, if it doesn't rain again, maybe we can have. I mean, and I think that nobody wants to have a wet race tonight.
Well, it's not what the drivers want, it's what the track will give them, so they have to make do with what they have. But right now it's going to be a shootout for the last 5 minutes to see who can post the last driest lap time and string it all together. The challenge here is also trying to figure out where the dry line is. I don't know from a driver's perspective whether that's really apparent. I think when we watch real life racing, there's always, you can see a dry line developing, and I think that the AMS2 does feature that as well. So it's really going to be a challenge for them to try to figure out where that dry line is.
Okay.
It looks like Craig Lax had to abort his qualifier due to an off.
Craig went to the pit.
He went to the pit because he had an off during the hot lap. And here we have Dan Lewis stuck behind someone.
I am inside of Dan Lewis' car right now. What from the cockpit I'm watching and trying to see what he sees. And well, before I saw some puddles. So yeah, the track is not so dry.
Yeah, it's going to wreak havoc on everything that they're going to do, because they're going to find puddles where they don't want them to be, and then the dynamics of the car are going to change when they hit these puddles. They already are pretty poor on traction on the front tires because they're so small. So I'm sure they're all experiencing a ton of understeer. And then rear end traction, as soon as they hit the throttle, massive amounts of oversteer. So these cars are a handful.
Yep. So we still have 3 minutes and 42 seconds. Okay, guys. Go out and do your best. Because Craig Lax is in the 6th position now. Craig. And Rocco 5th right now. Ragazzi, guys. Okay, go. 3 minutes. They have time to do just one more lap.
So long as they cross the finish line when there's a time on the table, they get one more lap to register. So we still have some time before the track will be at its driest point.
Yeah. Jan Antuono 3rd.
Jan Antuono, strong showing. His car looks stable underneath him, and that's a really good sign for the race for him.
Yes.
He had a great race last week. He's a survivor. We know that. Oh, he was on the outside part where the wetter part of the track is, but he saved the car. It's going to scrub the lap, though.
Okay, Belladonna first now. So many.
Belladonna.
Yes.
5 seconds.
2.
He found 5 seconds.
29.
This track is really drying. I believe Rocco
Lewis.
is on fire. Dan Lewis now.
Dan Lewis now.
Another 5 seconds.
Guys, you got to go.
Who's going to put on softs? Who's going to put on softs?
Go, guys. Unbelievable. Rocco 3rd now. Yeah. Rocco had an accident. He went against the wall. And went to the pit.
We have Craig Lax on a flyer. We have Dan Lewis on a flyer.
53 seconds. Okay, I'm inside of Craig Lax's car now.
I think he's just behind Dan Lewis. You might be able to catch a glimpse of Dan on some of the slower parts of the track. There he went. See around the bend there.
Yeah, from the chat there is Rocco that has written it's drying partly. "15 seconds.
I don't know if there's going to be another lap after this, so this is going to determine if Dan Lewis, whether or not he takes the pole position. for Interlagos.
We have to see. We still have 3 minutes. Here there is written that we still have 3 minutes now. I don't know.
Here's Dan crossing the line. Let's see what he's going to do. Improves by over a second. Here comes Craig Lax. Wow, improves a lot, but not enough to overtake Dan there.
Okay, we still have 2 minutes and 42 seconds. More. Craig Lax second. Ah. Let's see, let's see. It's a fight. It's a great battle. Also for the qualifying, obviously. Craig Lax to the pit.
Like everyone's scrubbing their laps.
And Busata on the grass.
Yep, we're in the interim period before the race starts at this point.
Okay, qualifying, it's ending. We go with the spot, and you must get inside with the spectator. Piove? Com'è che si chiama sto circuito? Circuito come si chiama? Interlagos.
I don't know if this is working. I think I might have made a mistake.
Okay.
I didn't have an option to go spectator.
No? Ok, wait a second. Come fa a entrare che non ci riesce? Non ci riesce, non c'è spectator. Che deve fare? Try again. Can you see the red button where is written push? When there is written join?
It doesn't have that option for me, unfortunately.
What can you see?
I can see the live stream though.
Yes, but from the Twitch channel or from the Ah, vedi, è dentro come macchina. You have to go out. Tom, you have to go out because you are inside like a driver. You have to go out and you have to get in again.
Okay.
So guys, we are here with Tom, Steelcast27, and we are fixing some things. And we have Dan Lewis in the first position, pole position for this last race in Interlagos, Brazil, and second position Craig Lax, third. 4, 3, 2, 1, go! And green, 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 green. Okay. Okay, let's see the start. Tom, are you there?
I'm here.
Can you see the? Have you seen the start?
I did. I'm on a little bit of delay, so I apologize for that.
No problem.
It looks like we got a relatively clean start. Nobody off track. That's always good to see.
Yes, and we have Dan Lewis in the first position right now. And Busata second.
In an excellent position to dictate the pace of these opening laps. But I'm also very happy to see that no one had any trouble off the start.
And it's raining.
Yes, it appears to be heavy rain right now. Craig Lax and Belladonna are going to try to squabble over third, but I'm sure no one wants to be aggressive at this point. If there's a mistake, someone's going to take advantage of it, but so long as everyone drives clean right now, they're just going to feel it out. I'm sure most of the drivers probably know by now that the weather might change, so they're not going to risk any of their equipment. Oh, it looks like Busata had an off. I'm sorry, Belladonna had an off. And Craig Lax might have followed him off track.
What's happening there? Craig Lax is door to door with Tamanoidis.
The two championship leaders right now. Hopefully none of them came away from that exchange with any damage.
Busata is out. Oh man, Busata is out. He lost totally the control.
In some sort of type of vortex.
And Daniele Belladonna is there, and they had just right now an accident, unfortunately.
That is a reset to track and an unfortunate time and place.
Too bad. Yes, absolutely. Daniele was in the wrong place in the wrong moment. And so Rocco, I don't know what happened, but Rocco is in the second position right now. I lost
He is now hounding Dan Lewis, but we know Rocco, he drives very smart. Even if he does catch up with Dan, he may not go for a move. It depends on what he decides. You know, he's a very smart driver. He's not going to risk his equipment, not in these weather conditions, I'm sure, unless it's a clear, safe pass. But then, catching Dan Lewis is another story.
Probably we have a battle between Giannantuono and Narduzzo. No. Giannantuono goes to the pit. No. He was really close to Narduzzo, but Giannantuono goes to the pit right now.
It appears he might have caught some damage.
Probably. Meanwhile, Buttafuoco, always the last one. Just to, you know.
As soon as he took purple off his car, his season went downhill. Okay. Next race, I will suggest him to choose the purple car. Okay. Right now, Dan Lewis is dictating the pace. Rocco is holding steady about 3 seconds behind. Craig Lax seems to he fell back to about 6 seconds behind, but he's clawed a couple of seconds back. It's always good to see Chris Collison lingering. He's also a very smart driver, very careful with his equipment. And he's definitely in a position to take advantage of any mistakes that the top three make. Hopefully there's a podium in his future.
Yes, absolutely. Very fair. Chris Collison, a very fair driver, absolutely.
And then there's a name that we haven't mentioned very often during the course of the season, Narduzzo. Please correct my pronunciation.
No, it's okay. Narduzzo is fine.
Narduzzo, it's good to see him in the top 5.
Yes. Okay, so Craig Lax, no, what happened to Craig? He went out.
Looks like Craig Lax had a mistake.
And
he's about to be overtaken by Chris Collison.
Exactly. Yes, just right now.
So long as Craig doesn't pick up any damage, you know, when the dry conditions happen, I wouldn't count him out, but it appears like he may have caught some damage.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
He might have to take it to the pits if he can make it.
Too bad. He is having...
Controlling these cars when they're damaged is almost an impossible task. I think there was guys last time that had some damage, and they wanted to continue on, but the car just would not cooperate, and they could literally not turn the car right or left.
Absolutely. And I am watching at Craig Lax right now in this moment, and it is hard. It is hard to control the car for him.
It's
Really.
like watching a wounded gazelle on the Serengeti.
Mm.
Just hopefully he can get it back to the get it back to the pit,
Yeah.
repair this thing, and then maybe pick up some points. But this has a very severe impact on his championship hopes. But
Yeah.
anything can happen, just like last weekend in this this championship. Anything can and indeed will happen. So
Yeah, we still have a lot of time. And here we had also another driver, probably, don't know if it was Simone Buttafuoco there. I see some sparkling. Can you see it? I mean, Simone is just going side by side with the wall. Know what's happening. Poor Simone. Probably he's trying to go back to the pit box too. Yes. And
Cheers,
Craig
you can't
Lax
turn
to
the
the
car
pit.
right.
Okay, these two guys. Oh, also Busatta to the pit. Okay, okay. So then Lewis in the first position. Calm, easy.
Calm and easy. In these conditions, he's going to need that.
Yes.
And obviously, Dan Lewis is looking back in his rear view. He's looking at the relative. He knows how far Rocco is away from him. He can decide how fast he wants to go if Rocco starts closing the gap. But ultimately, this is coming down to who makes the least mistakes.
Absolutely. And we have Rocco, in fact, in 6 seconds after Dan Lewis, far from Dan Lewis. And then Chris Collison, that right now is in the third position. Actually, a little bit far from them. But we have to see. We have to see, because if somebody goes to the pit, we have to see. Also, it depends on the weather
Of course.
and on the rain. Now the forecast says heavy cloud, but
Okay.
we see that it's raining, and it doesn't want to stop.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm seeing that Craig Lax, Gian Antoine, and Buttafuoco, they all are at the pit.
They are still in the
Still.
pits. Repairing damage on these cars, it takes ages. Each
Yes.
component takes a minute to fix, and the mechanics by rule are not allowed to fix more than one component at a time. So if Craig Lax or Buttafuoco have any damage to multiple components, they have to sit and wait and listen to Dan Lax and Rocco Thermonoidis do their laps, and it's just excruciatingly painful, I'm sure, especially for Craig.
Yes, it is. It is. It is because he absolutely deserves to be on the top, at least on the podium, for all his great races that he has done until today. So too bad. Too bad. But we have.
That's racing. You can't control the weather.
Yes. Yes. My grandmother used to say that always to me. The weather. That you can't control the weather.
So these Lotus 79s are quite significant in the grand scheme of F1 history. They won the World Championship in the hands of Mario Andretti. That's rare to see an American driver, although he has Italian heritage. But the significance of the car, nicknamed the Black Beauty, is that it was the first true ground effects downforce F1 car. This was known as the ground effects era in F1. After these few years, teams came up with some crazy ideas to increase the downforce besides just using the front and rear wing, including fans and suction. So F1 quickly nixed that entire concept and forced all the teams to use aerofoils, such as the wings and the spoilers, and no ground effects or little. The Lotus 79 used plastic or Teflon skirts on the side of the car, basically creating uh, a vacuum seal underneath. And in AMS2, it's represented quite well. It has superior mid-speed to high-speed performance. However, the Lotus 79 does have an extremely long wheelbase. The long wheelbase makes it so that the cars have difficulty in tight cornering. This track in particular, if it wasn't raining, would be a perfect car for the Lotus 79 to show what it's capable of. But unfortunately, they really can't get the power down the way they'd like it, and that downforce is minimized. But ultimately, it's a very difficult car to drive in game, especially under tight corners. And it appears that Rocco is coming into the pit.
Yes, that I wanted to tell you that. Rocco Tamanoidis goes to the pit.
This may be planned to switch to softs.
Just fuel. No tires, just fuel. It seems that they are not, they are not doing anything.
Rocco is indicating that he has had damage. We don't know how much, but like I said, if you have 1% damage on one component, it takes 60 seconds to fix that component sometimes.
Okay, it goes back to right now, to the track. Right now. So in this moment, Dan Lewis first position, Chris Collison second. Third position, Rocco, and fourth position, Craig Lax. In the meantime, we lost Narduzzo. He has been disconnected probably, and Gala and somebody else. We have now 7 drivers. Okay, guys, please hold on.
But look again, Chris Collison in second place. Like
Yes.
I said, he was in a position to take advantage of a mistake. Rocco made a mistake, and Chris took advantage of it.
Go, Chris.
But the story of the early part of the race is obviously Dan Lewis just professionally, calmly carrying this car through these terrible conditions. It's just a matter of when Dan decides to come in for come in to switch to dry tires, get some fuel perhaps. But you can see the track is just not ready for it just yet.
Now the track...
On board with Chris Collison, you can see the shimmering. That's a lot of water that's standing on this track right now. It's my impression that he's coming up to a back marker. I don't know who that is right now. But the back marker smartly gets out of the way. Unfortunately, he left the track to do so, but that was a very respectful and gentlemanly move.
Probably close to Collison there was Giannantuono. Leonardo Giannantuono. Yes.
Hats off to him. He understood who was coming up. He understood the circumstances, the situation, saw that the number 2 car was coming through. And he risked his own car to do it too, which is rare.
No, Belladonna has been disconnected too.
We've lost another competitor to disconnection. That's an absolute
no, shame. Daniele. We are in 6 now. 6 drivers. Man. I don't know what happened. No? Simone says that probably Daniele has destroyed the car because he hasn't been disconnected.
Okay,
so probably
there is a factor. If you destroy your car to a certain degree where it's undrivable and you can't reattain the track and get to the pits,
yep.
it's best for you and for all the other competitors if you just drop out of the race. And that was a smart move if that indeed was what happened.
Probably. So we just had 6 laps, just 6, really, only 6 laps, and we have 6 drivers.
These are extremely long laps here, and you can tell they're 3 minutes apiece. So
Yes.
6 laps is actually 15 minutes of racing.
Yes.
18 minutes, excuse me. My math has never been my strong point.
No, you are right. You are right, but as I could see, everything can happen during this just one lap. It's unbelievable.
It feels like we've had a whole entire race, though. That's for sure, hasn't it?
My gosh.
I assure you, this is just the first phase. It's the end of the beginning. So now the drivers are going to settle in. They're probably relatively comfortable with how they're handling the car. There's a significant gap between them, so they each have some type of leeway. They don't have to be worried about getting threatened from behind. It's just a matter of who can ride out this terrible weather and get onto the soft tires.
I have a question. Do you think they need to go back to the pit for the fuel?
I believe so. Usually when you're driving in wet conditions, you don't use that much fuel as you would if you're in dry. But I still think with, an hour and 10, 20 minutes, they're going to have to come in for fuel. They're definitely going to have to come in for tires, that's for sure, because we do expect a drier track, and you can't stay on wet tires that long. So this is just hopefully they have their pit strategy set appropriately so that they can get some fuel, the fuel that they need and the tires they need, and be on their way.
Okay, right now I'm inside of Rocco Tamanoides' car, just to see how he drives. He has always been so focused during the races, so focused on the track and on his opponent when he had one in front of him. And it also was very interesting to see the difference and between the style, the driving style from Rocco and from Dan Lewis, Craig Lax. Very, very interesting. So let's go now with Craig Lax.
One of the interesting things you could see by having the in-cockpit view is as all the preparation and practice that these drivers have probably put in at Interlagos 76, probably the first time driving this track for many of them, all of the lines have indeed altered. If you can see, if you look at the shimmering on the track, a lot of what we would consider the best racing line is actually covered in puddles. And they're going to have to actively change their racing lines and alter their strategy for each of the corners. And the ones that hit those puddles are the ones that have the most trouble.
Okay.
Also, another thing to mention is historical tracks are famous for this. They have these 1 story tall curbs on the side of the road. As soon as you get one of those tires off on those curbs, your hands are in your car and your race are in the hands of God at that point, especially when they're wet. So God forbid they hit the brakes or the throttle when you're riding one of these curves.
Okay, from the chat, I just want to let you know that from the chat there is DDonk43 that says that you have a beautiful voice. Oh, what happened? Chris, it's out.
It looks like Chris Collison
Chris
caught a bad braking zone, but fortunately he did a great job of re-entering the track with the car. I'm not sure if he picked up any damage there. It didn't look like he hit any Armco barriers, so he might have lucked out. had an off in the exact. If you're going to have an off, that was a good place to have it.
Okay, I will not say that you have a beautiful voice anymore.
Oh yes.
No,
Of
no.
all the things I've never heard, and that's one of them. But thank you, Donk. I appreciate it.
And in the meantime, we have arrived at lap number 8, with Dan Lewis always in the first position. Let me check.
Dan Lewis lap times seem to be consistently in the 40s, 40 range. Obviously, one mistake can cost you 5 tenths, maybe a second or two, depending on the circumstances. If you catch a bad corner in the wrong spot, it's really going to impact your lap times. But it seems like Craig Lax and Dan Lewis are pacing at similar lap times right now. Rocco is a few seconds behind that. Chris Collison in second place, just consolidating his spot right now. They're all still just trying to survive.
Yes, actually, Craig Lax is the fastest one on the track. I mean, from the last lap, but he's so far from Rocco.
Yeah, there's much ground that Craig has to make up for to recover from what caused his incident back there. It's unfortunate that he couldn't be up closer to Dan and Chris, but
Yep.
there's still a long time to go. A lot of things can happen.
Absolutely, 57 minutes. It's gonna be a war tonight. Oh my gosh. Okay. We are ready. Sun is coming out. There is hospital they're asking from the chat. Sun is coming out. Who knows? Maybe.
The sun is appearing, and that has to be a beautiful sight for these drivers. Unfortunately, the sun is going down at the same time. So the track may not dry out as fast as anyone would have hoped, and the visibility is still going to be poor.
5:30 in Brazil right now. PM. And today is 21st of June, and it should be the longest day with hour of sun from all the year. Craig Lax had a problem. Slipping, but still on the track. Okay. Nothing. Okay. It was fine. Everybody is hoping for the sun and for a dry track from the chat. Let me check Craig Lax cockpit right now. Let me see. I still see lots of puddles, huh?
Yeah, there's going to be a phase where the track is going to have to dry out for these guys, and it's not quite there yet. I'd say probably within another 15 minutes or so. There's going to be a phase where these guys are going to have to make a decision to whether or not to come into the pits and put on some slick tires. But right now you can see the racing line is completely covered with massive puddles, and there's nothing you can do about that. It seems like now that everyone is picking up the pace just a little bit here and there. If you look at the relative, the lap times are improving. 1 second here, 1 second there.
Yep.
There's a lot of time in between these guys, though, so they have to make the best of it. And unfortunately for Craig Lax, Rocco, these guys are going to have to hope that Chris Collison and Dan Lewis make a mistake at this point.
Whoa, 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 whoa! I'm inside of Craig Lack's car, and okay, okay, I went on the wall again.
That's one of those tricky
It
cars
crashed
where
into
you're
the wall.
trying to trust the downforce of the car and just the track grip limits.
Probably.
It's so hard to gain that trust. So he was trying to put the hammer down. He understands the circumstances like everybody else, but these cars just don't have, the grip right now. Hopefully, they didn't catch too much damage. These cars do rely a lot on the ground effects of the downforce. Maybe even perhaps this might improve the car, but you can tell by his steering wheel angle that there is some suspension damage going on here. So he's looking at maybe 10%, 15, 20% damage. It looks like another pit stop for Craig.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's fishdowning. Yep, for sure. Suspension damage. You can't carry on this way. Now, here's a decision that Craig would have to make, is whether or not he uses this pit stop time to switch to dry tires and risk it for the chocolate biscuit.
Wow.
But he's in the position to do that. And unfortunately, he has to do that, I think, in my opinion. He really does have to catch up so much time that he might have to make that decision.
Although he has damaged his car, because he did, I'm sure about that, he's still driving very well, by the way. He succeeds to maintain the control of the car.
It's beginning to become more apparent when the track dries out a little bit more. Right now, like, the cars are so skittish just under the wet driving conditions, you can't really tell. But you can tell by the steering wheel, he's trying to drive in a straight line. It's off to the right, and on top of that, he was fishtailing back and forth under power. So there's definitely something off. May not be apparent in the wet conditions, but as the track dries, he's definitely going to have an incentive to have to come in.
Still have 51 minutes, eh? We have a lot of time in front of us.
From that camera angle, it looked like the track is drying out in some spots, and you can see other spots. There's still a lot of heaviness that these cars are picking up off the tarmac, and huge puddles that they have to avoid. So it's going to be an interesting decision when these guys decide to come in. But you can see Dan Lewis. He just the last time I checked, he was at 242. He's at 238 now, so the car is 4 seconds faster at least. Chris Collison coming in with a strong lap time. 244.
Then Lewis is the best now. Wow. Simone Buttafuoco to the pit again. What happened? Too many damages? Poor Simone. Simone, who is always been driving with one hand for all the championship. It's obviously that he is the last one.
I wonder if Simone had known whether or not he'd have to drive with one hand when this series began. He would have chosen cars like, the sprint race car. Something easier, casual.
He loves to organize these championships, so he is really very happy about that at the end. So, but trust me, he was very sad that he couldn't drive properly, that as he wanted. So it was frustrating. And
I think his shining moment this season was in the early on in the John Cooper Works. He had an amazing Monaco until, I believe, damage took over. But he was actually up there with Craig Lax as far as times are concerned, Dan Lewis and Neil Crave.
Let me check inside of Rocco Tamanoidi's car.
Rocco's times have dropped as well.
Yeah.
Careful calculating. Rocco knows where Craig Lax is on the track. And he's just going to make sure that he's in front of him when the time reaches 0.
Yeah, you are right. Rocco calculates everything. Absolutely.
I think Rocco is planning on making an appearance in the AMS2 international races, the GTE League, the professional one that's upcoming. He's told me that he was excited about that.
Hey, we have to see if we can start the championship, the pro one, the professional
Right.
one. Because if we can't reach the number 15 drivers, it won't start. So we have to see. I was very happy to see them again.
I think we were all happy to see the GTEs as well, and tracks like Long Beach, Daytona. It's a new phase for AMS2. Unfortunately, some of the technical side of things has sort of come in and spoiled the party, especially for leagues like this, and I'm sure it goes across the world. Any serious racing league that features AMS2, I'm sure they've all had their fair share of drivers who've suffered disconnections, crashes to desktop. It's an unfortunate period in AMS2's history. I think that they're working hard. From what I understand, it's hard for them to duplicate the types of issues that players are having with their own equipment. So, and by not being able to duplicate it, they can't replicate it, and then they also can't diagnose the issue. So they have to rely on community members, you, myself, Simone, to send bug reports when we can, let them know this is what the cause of my crash. I know a couple of weeks ago, Craig Lax, his crash was caused by his an overheating equipment, so his computer just shut down. Other people have had disconnection issues, and then also issues with the game just crashing and not being able to continue in the session, and that goes along with races as well as time trial. So it's really tough to organize these things when we have a quarter to half the field not even being able to compete.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Also because these guys, they train during the week before the race. It's not just a game. I mean, it's still a game. It's okay, and it's for fun. It's okay. We have prizes. And by the way, there is somebody that wants to win this championship. So it's too bad that something like a disconnection, that it doesn't depend on you, but just from the server, just from the game. It's just a pity, no?
It could be the most frustrating thing.
Yeah.
You can make a mistake on track. You can look back on it, reflect on it, and think, how could you have approached a corner better? And that's one thing. You can live with that. But when you are in a position of putting a lot of time and effort into preparing yourself, the car, practicing on these tracks, it takes, it's not an insignificant period of time. I'm sure a lot of these guys haven't driven on Interlagos 76 until this week. And so I'm sure a lot of them put in hours upon hours of practice time in the dry.
Yes, and also the setup, and also calculating the fuel and
Calculating fuel, tire pressures, making sure everything is appropriate. I mean, these are some of the strongest racers in Europe, so they're going to put appropriate amount of seriousness into it, and it's just the type of type of hobby that we're all in. It takes just as much preparation to race as it is for the race, perhaps even more. So
So Rocco went
that's
to the
why
pit. Rocco went to the pit.
Rocco to the pit again.
And he's just going out. He just went for a few seconds, so I don't know if he changed the tires or not. We have to see.
We'll have to get a closer look. If you can go to chase cam or in cockpit cam, we'd be able to see whether or not he's running on slicks. It looks like he's still on wets. But like I was saying, it's unfortunate to have these types of things, these types of issues from a technical side of things hinder, all of the hard work that these guys put in for this. And it's particularly damaging for championship points scoring leagues, such as this one. You lose heart, but these guys, all of these guys on this list, have not given up this entire league. So hats off to everybody that showed up, practiced hard, put the time in, put the effort in, and are out here struggling with the Lotus 79. Dan Lewis with an excellent lap time of 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I think in full dry weather conditions, the cars here can get into the 2-minute 14 mark. So that'll show you what the wet weather tires and the track is doing. But at the same time, the track is cooling because the sun's going down.
Yes. So it's unbelievable because if I see out of my window, okay, no, it's almost night right here in Italy, but in Brazil it's almost the same. Okay. We have Fabio in the chat. Ciao Fabio. We have been missing you tonight.
Hi Fabio. Trying to do my best here to fill your shoes, man.
You are doing a great job. Everybody was waiting for you. Okay. So,
well, it looks like Rocco only lost about 30 seconds. Maybe he had an off, or is factoring in the pit that he took. I thought we had crossed that phase, but it appears that he might have had another off because his last lap was in the 3-minute range.
Yeah, and we didn't see it.
Dan Lewis's lap times continue to plummet. No one can touch Dan today, it appears. He is in control. So long as nothing happens, he is in the best position, obviously, to win this race and make up for some of the other races he had early in the season. He's obviously shown his ability as a driver. That's one particular race that comes to mind is Kanzai and the GT1s, where he was the fastest man on track for the entire race, but unfortunately his pit strategy was a little bit off, and he was overtaken by Rocco and Chris Collison. Rocco, due to, I think it was 1 liter of fuel.
Yes.
Rocco had 1 liter in the tank. Just an absolute
he finished
Hail
with just
Mary
1 liter.
That came out in Rocco's favor, but that's why they call him the Fox.
Yes, and actually, I don't know if it was just really good luck for him, or if he calculated centimeter by centimeter what he had to do with the fuel. I don't know. We will never know. Because ending just with 1 liter of fuel, it's unbelievable. Fabio, what happened to the other drivers? They have been disconnected, or they went out and they disconnected by themselves, such as probably Daniele Belladonna. Probably he had a huge problem with the car, too much damages, and he went out. We started with 10 drivers, and now we are just 6. We started with Dan Lewis in pole position, and he'll still be there in the first position right now, followed by Chris Collison, pretty far from him. Simone Buttafuoco, great race as always. Yes, Simone Buttafuoco has gone at least 3 times to the pit box, at least, for the damages of his car.
Simone seems to never give up.
No.
Good for him.
So imagine that he could end this race 10th, and if he's lucky, he will end as 6th. Not bad.
So right now, I think you can start to see that a dry line is forming on track. The drivers are definitely driving with a little bit more confidence that they have been the entire race up until this point. There are some puddles out there to be wary of, and when you're in a car like this, a puddle in the wrong spot can ruin the corner and perhaps put your car at risk. So still quite the challenge.
Can you still see puddles? I was trying to...
Yeah, they're any dark spot on the track you can see sometimes, and if you pay attention to some of the corners, they'll have a little shimmer.
Mm-hmm.
The higher parts of the track, they'll be drying the fastest, but the game does calculate water accumulation, so at the lower parts of the track you can still see them as well. The cars also influence the dry line. They can basically wash the water away.
Yep.
But you can clearly see just that last lap that Dan was able to find another 3 seconds on track, and these are on wet weather tires. So at some point the decision is going to be made to come in and put on the slicks. Depends on how confident they are. It's been almost an hour, so they're all pretty intimately familiar with the track conditions. But they're definitely gaining speed.
I am with Craig Lax right now, and he didn't go to the pit box, right?
Craig Lack's been in the pits, I think, twice over the course of the race,
yes.
But I'm not sure. But since he's received his damage, no. It appears like he has made the determination that the car is drivable for him at the very least. He's actually put in some really strong lap times, and he might be waiting until the slicks transition, the tires transition from wets to slicks, to decide whether or not to fix that damage. Now the next question, or the next thing that he has to decide, is whether or not he wants to fix that damage at all, because that would cost him another potentially 60 seconds in the pits just to fix the damage.
Yes, because he's obliged to repair the damages, right?
If he doesn't have to if he doesn't want to. It depends on whether or not he's got the proper pit strategies in the setup screen and prepared to talk to his race engineers. and decided whether or not he was going to have different pit strategies. You'll hear it in real life F1 when they say they'll go to Plan A or Plan B, and that's exactly what they're talking about. They're talking about when they're going to be switching their tire strategies. They'll do that in dry weather conditions as well. Most often the case, F1 cars, when they're damaged, they do come into the pits because they're just so aero dependent. But it appears that the damage that Craig has suffered is not really slowing him down that much. But he does need to find at least, I think, 2 laps worth of time, and that's sort of an impossible hill for him to climb right now. So he's just hoping for a mistake from Rocco.
Yep.
For the most part.
By the way, I'm inside of Craig Lack's car now, and I still see lots of puddles.
Yeah, you can definitely see the shimmering of puddles,
Yeah.
especially on the inside part of the corner, which is the place where you don't want them to be.
Absolutely. Ok, Simone butta fuoco to the pit again. Ah, he's changing the tires now.
Okay, Simone is going to be... There's
the
always
first
the first to decide whether or not to go to slicks, and hopefully some of the other competitors, they can see the relative, they can see that he's in the pits. If they can, basically remember what his lap times were before, if he starts putting in some really stellar lap times, they may be an indication to them that it might be a good time to pit themselves. Someone's going to have to do something risky here. Otherwise, they're just content with their positions. I think we're looking at 30 seconds between Chris Collison and Rocco, and then perhaps another minute or so behind that from Craig Lax.
Yeah. Yes. So definitely the strategy to the pit can be very important. At the same time, it can be okay. Giannantuono to the pit also. The other guys are still on the track.
The other consideration is, if you did decide to come in for the slicks, how much time would you possibly gain? Would it be 5 seconds, 10 seconds? I mean, when you're talking about gaps between cars in a minute range, even if you did come in and you gain 10 seconds on a lap, the other competitors, they'll see this as well, and then they'll definitely cover you off by coming into the pit themselves. So really, with the gaps between these cars, it's really coming down to who is going to be able to survive this last 30 minutes without making a mistake. Under changing conditions, this is still possible. These cars are a handful to drive under the best of circumstances. But right now, it looks like Dan Lewis is the class of the field. He's just been plugging away this entire race, consistent, solid. I don't think he put 2 wheels off, at least as far as we've seen.
I have a question. Do you think it's possible that they don't change tires?
I think at this point it is a possibility, because you have to factor in how much time you could lose by the pits. 30 seconds, 40 seconds in the pit lane and in the pits themselves. Right now for Dan Lewis, I mean, can Chris Collison on soft tires catch up 2.5 minutes? And also on board, he can tell what the condition of his tires are. Typically in dry conditions, a wet tire will not last very long. They have a tendency to overheat. They are not racing slicks. The tread will wear off faster and turn the car into an oily mess. It basically feels like you're driving on grease. So it may not be up to Dan to decide that. The car may decide it for him.
Yes. Absolutely. So, if I were them, I would change tires now, or otherwise, not change at all. If they can.
I think so. I think it's appropriate if you want to make a move. Changing to slicks earlier on than others is something that you would decide to do if they were closer on track. I think for Rocco, in his mind, he has to be thinking, just stay ahead of Craig. You know, he does not have to win the race. He doesn't have to come in first. He doesn't have to risk the car trying to make a switch to slicks and, you know, hitting a puddle that otherwise the wet tires could have handled. So he's just managing his risk at this point and making sure that his number comes across the line before Craig Lax's number. Craig, on the other hand, he's in a different scenario. He's catching Rocco at the clip of around 5 seconds per lap. So with, you know, potentially 12, 13, 14 more laps to go, you know, there is a possibility that Craig Lax could be
Collison to the pit.
Catching Collison to the pit.
Yeah, let me check. Yeah, changing tires right now.
So for Craig, he has to balance again. If he goes into the pits, will Rocco pit after him, or will Craig Lax come out on slicks and be, you know, a minute behind with 20 minutes to go?
And now Chris is fourth and has been overtaken by Rocco and Craig Lax.
If I were Craig Lax, I'd be watching Chris Collison very intently as he comes out of the pits to check to see what his lap times are. You have to do some quick math. In real life, they have teams of engineers on site at the race locations. They have teams of analysts back at their headquarters going through every possible permutations. These guys have to do all of this in their head.
Also, I think that Chris Collison had some fuel too, because he spent I wouldn't say a lot of time, but it wasn't so quick just to change tires. So we still have 26 minutes to go. 26 minutes, it's a lot of time. We still have a lot of time, and we have
still a ton of time for things to happen.
Yeah.
And a ton of time for someone to make a mistake.
Yeah.
But again, this is going to be an interesting call for Craig Lax and for Rocco. They're basically playing a game of chess. The leader of the race, Dan Lewis, unfortunately, is not in championship contention. He's driven a wonderful race. He's been the class of the field today. But the championship falls into the decision-making of Rocco and Craig.
Yes, it is. And they will be fighting till the end. And so it's almost 6 p.m.
They might be fighting much sooner than that, because it looks like Craig Lax is picking up the pace and catching up to Rocco by the clip of about 4 seconds per lap. Rocco Thermonoidis just put in a 2-minute 39. Let's see where Craig Lax falls in.
Yep.
Craig Lax breaks the 2-minute 30-second marker.
2-minute 28 now, Craig Lax.
Pretty soon he'll be able to see Rocco.
Yep.
And that's when things are going to get interesting. Actually, off in the distance, in the shadows,
and it's getting darker.
Way off in the distance, Craig Lax may be able to see Rocco any moment now. Now the question is Rocco going to make a defensive move, enter the pits, grab some slicks?
Yeah, who knows? And this is my second race in the dark. Who was?
Craig Lax had an off.
Who was there? He's out. Craig
Lax had an off. It looked like it was a back marker or another car on track. He altered his racing line, and it looked like he got into some wet part of the track and just went straight. So all the things that we've just been discussing, the drama and the momentum that Craig Lax was building up, unfortunately was lost.
Let me check because probably it was Chris. Because Chris wrote in the chat. I don't know how. Chris, don't you know that it's
Rocco Thermonoidis
forbidden?
was just overtaken by Craig's
Oh
Lax on
man!
track. Rocco Thermonoidis had a problem and had an off. He might have caused some damage. This has huge championship implications.
Yes, it is. Now, while this big thing happened, that is to say that Craig Lax has overtaken Rocco, while oh my gosh, Craig
Oh
Lax
no, it
first.
appears
Oh no,
Lewis had a disconnection
no,
or some type of tech issue. This is what he did not want to happen. No one likes to see it.
no. I mean, glad
Uh,
for Craig, but at the same time, too bad for Dan. Uh, and Craig Lax just went on the wall. He
It
just went
appears
against
that
the
the
wall.
drivers are struggling and they can't see the track anymore. This is unfortunate when you're racing in F1 cars that do not have headlights, and there's no track lighting on track. A lot of the times there's no reference point. You'd have to change it. You change your contrast on your monitor. You can change the brightness on your monitor, but
Fuori.
a lot of the times it's just going to look like a black mirror looking back at you. So they might only have like 30 feet of visible space.
Yes, it is. We are really in the dark, and it's so hard to see everything.
Craig Lax
And
is coming to the pits.
yes, the only I see only the pit boxes right now. Okay, everybody is there. What's happening?
Looks like several competitors
Che
decided to
cosa?
drop out.
Okay, Simone is saying that we have to do the race again because it's too dark. And we have
Unbelievable.
to
The stewards have
restart.
intervened.
And we have to restart the game. Not the game, but I'm trying to speak with Simone. Huh? Next Monday. Next Monday we will do this race again. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I am
These types of things happen. We can forgive Simone, forgive all of us. We're doing this. We don't know sometimes when you're setting the time in the game menus how it's going to appear in real life, or for the not real life, but for the drivers on track. And it appears that this was just a few minutes too late, maybe a half hour or more
yeah,
earlier in the day, and we would have been fine.
because it is real time and real weather. So
Right.
right, it means that right now in Brazil, in Interlagos, it is night, although it is 6 p.m. So 6 p.m. During summertime, it shouldn't be so dark. Uh, but
Well,
actually, it depends on the latitude. So
this is leading up to be a very exciting next week because depending on the format that the stewards decide, this could be a shootout, and hopefully it'll be nice dry conditions with the sun beaming from above.
I am. I have no words to explain what happened. I just want to. I mean, I'm sorry with this, and
Yeah, the apologies go out to all of the viewers, anyone that's stuck around. But at the same time, the good news, the silver lining is you'll get to see this race again next week, and hopefully it'll be an exciting one.
because you know why? because anybody wanted to hear your voice again.
Of
And
course.
yes,
If only just to hear my beautiful voice.
yeah.
Uh, Thank you, Donk. I hope that does not stick. Uh,
Yes, it was fun. It was fun to watch, but so maybe we can go with some interviews. No, non vuoi fare le interviews? No, no interviews for tonight. We just do this race again on next Monday. That's what Simone says. And yes, in a certain way, I agree. Not because he's my boyfriend, but because we couldn't see anything because these cars have no lights, right?
yep, it was a good call. It was a tough call to make, but it was definitely the right call.
Um, so, but it was an interesting race, very exciting one.
Well, the question is, when we start again, are we going to start with a full session, or are we going to start with 20 minutes? The stewards are going to have to decide.
I
Are all of
think
the competitors going to be on the track at the same time, or just the top three? Or the possibility is just have a two-car 20-minute race between Rocco and Craig Lax. All the options are on the board. We are off script, people. We are definitely off script here. So anything is on the table.
anything can happen. Yes, absolutely. Well, I think we will restart everything. No? Giusto? Ricominciamo tutto da capo. Next Monday we will restart from zero this race, from the qualifying time, I guess. So, like, well, it was like a waste of time tonight. I am sorry for that. Please, I accept my apologize and Simone's apologize. Um, it is the first time that happens. Never happened before. Um, okay, just that. I'm sorry. And thank you, guys. Thank you, Rocco. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Dan, Lewis. Thanks to you, Tom, because I really was enjoying your commentary.
Oh,
Was
thank you, Irene. It was really a pleasure of mine to join you, and it's been a nice season listening to you and Fabio, and I'm glad you invited me to come in. It was a pleasure of mine and really great
I
experience. So
hope
thank you.
you will join us again next Monday then.
Hopefully,
If you I mean if you are free and if you can.
we'll see.
Okay, okay, okay. I will
Thank you.
keep crossing my fingers. Okay. We have to go now. And thank you so much for everything.
Take care. Thank you.
Take care you too. Ciao. Buonanotte. Good night.